Hey, what's going, guys? It's X. So Vanguard Zero. I haven't really talked about it in a while, but I think it's finally time to really kind of talk about the state of the game and where it's going to go. So, this is going to be a bit of a discussion video. More so me rambling around my thoughts about everything and some little points I made, and then we're gonna go on like a little thing I have planned for going forward. With that, there's pretty much all was there. Anything else is pretty much just what you pretty much are seeing on screen is just like a bunch of games I did on for tower event, just to make sure I do that, just to provide for my team. So that's really what's going on here. Just a few games, so don't worry about whatever you're seeing on screen. Okay, so that's that. So, in global, we're about to reach the 30-year anniversary of Vanguard Zero, which is kind of crazy that it's been 3 years since Zero released. That's honestly pretty insane. But more importantly, and I say more importantly because this is kind of going to impact the rest of the game going forward, is Vanguard Zero JP is currently on the last main set of Zero, of Vanguard G, which is I believe is Divas Festa, which is the one where Anj and Reindeer and Tira, all those cards get like support and like very powerful cards, right? That's the reason why it's the last wave of the roller coaster of sets, which is insane. So that's kind of the question of where does Vanguard Zero kind of go from here, because right now I would say they've almost exhausted all their cards, but if we're being honest, really it's kind of weird because currently, well, Tachikaze is missing, right? Tachikaze is the only clan, I'm about to say nation, is the only clan that has not received its G support outside of Fire's collections. Like, it has missed all of Vanguard G up to this point, and it's insane. Then you look at all the other like clan fights that have not received new support in a while, like Nova Grappler still missing its last wave. Spike Brothers has not gotten a wave since its first. You just look at all the remaining clans that are just like missing in their waves, and it's like, they have enough for arguably one more set, to be quite honest with you. But the question is, are they going to do it? Are they going to not? Because at this point, we've reached the point of like all these sets really have just kind of like moved past where any of these decks would be completely viable, right? So that's kind of the question, like, do they bother with it? Because I know there's a lot of issues with Tachikaze that would go forward, not so just because of the engorge mechanic, but rather engorge, and if we were to head into V, which I'll get to in a second, it would also include the Excel markers and the ability to the gauge mechanic as well, right? They would have to figure out the gauge mechanic as well, and I don't think and already like Tachikaze has issues with decking out before the gauge mechanic and with the Excels, so it's kind of like, how are you gonna do this? But that's kind of the play here. So so I kind of thought of like three real options for what Vanguard Zero could possibly do going into next month. At some time within the next 10 days, we should probably get a gist of what's going to be happening going forward with Vanguard Zero. I think an announcement of whether the next set's coming or not, or like what new event's going to happen, is going to be important. I don't think at this point they would say something like, yeah, Vanguard Zero is going to end sometime within the next 2 months, right? Because usually they don't immediately like shut down a server, right? They at least give you a warning, like heads up, like, hey, from this point onwards, all your like buying does not really matter, right? So if they were going to close, I've seen that before in multiple games, right? A lot of like gacha games I've seen have just kind of shut down and like gave you a warning, right? BlazBlue Dark War, the one SAO game I actually played, that also happened. But they also did something that was actually pretty interesting, and I'll talk about that in a second. So you know, at this point we should have gotten an announcement, right? After, but I think they want to spend at least a month. So I think if the idea is this, then here's my kind of like options that they have. And so my thoughts is, they're probably going to end service, right? I think that's one thing that I think a lot of people, even Vanguard Zero players, honestly kind of like, that probably is the best bet. But I don't think it's really going to happen. If it does, I think everyone's like saw it coming. But if it doesn't, I think some people will also be pleasantly surprised. I don't think it's gonna happen. I think we're getting more Vanguard Zero, right? We've made it 3 years. They've obviously found a way to kind of like they probably have a way to kind of like figure out. Okay, they probably have something big happening that's probably going to be like, well, we can try this, and if it doesn't work, then we'll just end service then, right? So I think that's kind of what's gonna happen. So my thought is like they're probably gonna end service of JP, and maybe global will soon follow. Or maybe they'll just end about at the same time, which would be kind of crazy because, we have the thing of like, well, the third anniversary is going to happen past that point. So it'll be like really messed up to be like, well, global's not getting anything. So, the hint of, we would make it past the third anniversary, but unfortunately, the Japanese side just died. And so, well, there's no real, unless we do something else, we really can't ask money to you. So that's one option, is that both servers just sunset and die off. My option 1B is more so just only JP sunsets and everything gets merged into global, right? Because, well, you're holding off 2 servers, and if one server is not really doing as well as the other, then might as well just merge them all together and finally just be like, do custom like card design or whatever. You know what I mean, right? So just add Japanese language to global and be like, all right, we got one full server, go crazy. You'll be able to transfer your stuff in once we've officially hit the point in which Zero has reached that point and whatnot. So that's the second option. There's a second option is offline version, right? Like, again, like the SAO game I mentioned dropped an offline variant of the game, which is, you get 60 units of characters and you're able to play them, and you just go through the game like normal and just keep playing if you really just want to enjoy playing the game, which is a good idea. So that's my thought, is like you just get like probably like a offline version of like, here's all the cards you use, you can keep them. You can't get any more unless like some certain ideas. You can't really get much more, and then you just allowed to play the story or like have like a small little like connection to like play with like specific people, but like ranked servers are completely gone, right? So that's the idea there. And then there's probably the third option, which I think is probably going to happen. Independent of which kind of folds into the first 2 options, option 1 and option 1B, which is we go into V format and we try to restructure the game there, right? Because I think Game Studio knows, right? I mean, if you see how the US Festival plays out, they gave double GRs now, right? So it's obviously like they know that they could just improve it, and that set is well received from what I can tell. So that's another thing. So at that point, it's kind of like, where do you go from here? So I think V could do it. I think the question is how much hard work is going to update into V going to do, right? I think that's a major thing. I think the biggest thing is trying to figure out how to do like Excel more than anything. I think they'll have to just completely rework Excel as a mechanic, because I don't know how you find a way to really just let that happen. So there's that. So that's kind of the thing. I think really they're going to try to at least go into V, see if they can bring some of those players back into the game. Rework some cards and whatnot, do more formats, because otherwise otherwise I think probably like next month is probably the end of Vanguard Zero, at least JP wise, and we'll see what happens there. So that's kind of my thoughts on where Vanguard Zero could go, because it's like there's only so much they can do without having to split the formats now, that it's kind of a good question. I mean, there could be a fourth option, like say they just straight up make a brand new game specifically for V, which would be kind of crazy. But that's, who knows what could happen there. So again, as for what I'm planning to do, regardless of Vanguard Zero living or dying, is I have started, I guess you could say started, but really I've reformatted an old channel I was never using for like high school, and I've completely like turned it into a Vanguard Zero story and events archive. Pretty much is going to be all these story events from Vanguard Zero slapped into like, I mean, not slapped to, but like put together with chapters and whatnot, and then you can just go through and watch the story completely and just go through it, right? And just make sure that we have the story bits from Zero connected, because let me tell you, I love these characters, right? So I would love, and I like that these stories have like some certain characters interacting that normally didn't interact in the show before. So keeping that preserved for people who want to like go and see more of these characters, I think is a great idea. So I've officially started that channel, is Vanguard Zero Story and Event Archive. Links in the description. Go follow it. I'm going to try and like, because of other things I can do, I can only do so much. So I'm going to try and release two like story events every like 2 days, just so it gives me time to make sure I record everything, because you gotta record and edit and all that junk. So that's the plan. Again, go to Vanguard Zero Story and Event Archive. Link is also in the description, and go follow it, make sure it's there. I'm not trying to make any money off of it, right? Because that just be kind of messed up. So it's completely like free. So that's, if anyone's like concerned about that, I don't know. It just popped in my head. I'm like, shoot, I don't know. But that's pretty much it for the video. Basically, yeah, I think Zero is still got some more gas in the tank, but they've got to like really like put their best foot forward if they really want to do a V update. Otherwise, it's just gonna be a point, right? So that's my thoughts. Thank you so much for watching and tuning in. If you want to talk about more Vanguard content, please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.